Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. It is time for another fun hour of learning here with Michael Stores in Faber-Castell, USA. My name is Leibelle Ralston, or also known as Mommy Lay on the internet. I will be your teacher for today, and today's class is going to be very, very relaxing and super chill. Happy fall, everybody. Thank you all so much for sharing where everyone is joining us from. So before we get started with the class, I would like to quickly say hello to everyone. Hello, Sarah. Hey, Autumn. We have some good friends from Texas. I'm also broadcasting live from Texas. So, hey, Tina. Hey, Sarah from Maryland. How's Austin? Houston is still a bit warm. Definitely not fall. I'm just feeling a bit under the weather today. So, yeah, but I'm here. I showed up because I cannot wait. I cannot miss Wednesday and be with you guys. Hey, Buffy. Hello there. How are you? Hey, EJ. I hope you stay dry and be well. Hey, Barbara from Denton, Texas. Hey, Belle. Hello. How are you guys? Oh my goodness, Jen. Thank you all so much. Thank you. Thank you. You're so sweet. Hello, Ramen. Hey, Angie. Hey, Karen. Hey, Jen. Sheena is joining us from Kansas. Um, hello. Hey, Luke. How are you? Hey, Pat. Hey, Marcy. Oh my goodness. Hey, Mary. Happy Wednesday. All right. So I hope you guys are all doing well. Like what I said, I'm a little bit under the weather. I don't know. Some I've been super crazy busy the last 3 weeks. We did some workshop and planner convention, and so I've been traveling and I think being around a lot of people, so my immune system is kind of like, whoa, what is going on here? So, but I'm here, I'm okay. So I hope everybody's staying healthy as well. So, like what I've mentioned, today's class is going to be very chill because we're going to be doing some doodles, but we are going to be using some watercolors. I know it is something that it's probably, I don't always do it most of the time. If you've been attending our classes, you know that I love using my pencil and my eraser because I love to sketch first, just kind of like sketch my ideas and then go through if whether I'm using a pencil or whether I'm using a marker or a watercolor like this one. But today we're just going to go jump straight right in and just doodle. And we're going to be using Faber-Castell watercolor sets. This one is available at Michael's. I think the smaller set is the one that's available at Michael's, but you can definitely check out fabercastell.com as well if they have it. I also love this set right here. Both of these sets are not super expensive, so they're quite inexpensive. So especially now that the holidays, it's just right around the corner. If you need some gifts for your young artists or for yourself. I mean, it's time to just kind of like grab all those and take advantages of the sale. Okay, so because we are using some watercolor, of course, we're going to need some watercolor paper pad like this one. Um, and then we're going to need some water, clean water. So you need one to really clean your brush to take out all the colors or the pigments, and then one to thoroughly clean it. And then we need some round brushes. Okay, so I have different sizes in here. I am a big fan of round brushes. I have the biggest one that I have here, I believe is number 5. Yep. So I have two number 5. I don't need two. And then we're going to use a number 2 as well. If you don't have this or whatever it is that you have in there, if you have like a 2 or a 4, please use whatever you have. Don't feel like pressure that you need to have everything that I'm using right now. Okay. All right. And then you know that I have fallen in love with this whimsical type of look, kind of like adding some textures in our watercolor drawing or illustration by using some colored pencils. Again, this is just an added step. You don't have to do it. You don't have to even have this one, but sometimes I love using colored pencils to add details, bring back some of the details that I may have lost or kind of just want to highlight and things like that. This is the Black Edition pencils from Faber-Castell. Definitely very inexpensive, but really good quality. So I have these as well. Now, for today's session, we are supposed to be doodling some fall items, but actually the items that we're going to do today can be winter, as well. It could be a winter theme. So it's up to you what color palette you would like to use. You can use some cool tones to make it winter, or we can stick to an autumn feel. And so for the autumn feel, you want to have like an earth green, like this, very similar to this, a burnt sienna, an orange. Make sure you have a light orange and darker orange. Maybe you can use a little bit of yellow, and then if you have a brown, maybe you can, darken it up. I have this green gold color, which is really nice also. I love to kind of like bring out all the colors, even though I'm not going to use all of it. It's just kind of like nice to have. And sometimes idea pops in your head that, oh, you know what, I can do that, or I can use this one. So just kind of like bring out all that colors in there, the autumn colors. I have this magenta. We might not use it, but it's almost like it's almost like a crime for me not to use any pink color. But okay, so we have this one. All right, so but first we need some pencil, and I'm going to grab some pencil in here because we need to create a template first. I wanted to create a heart, and that's what we're going to do. So grab a pencil. I'm using a Faber-Castell Polymatic. This is the 0.7. This is a mechanical pencil. I love mechanical pencil because it is very thicker than a regular pencil, even though we have the jumbo, but sometimes just having the mechanical, and it's really fine tip as well. So I really love that. Now, what we're going to do first is we're going to draw a heart. It depends if you want to make it super big, cover the whole page, or you just want to make it a bit smaller. But remember, if you're going to work with water and you have a large brush, you might want to draw a bigger heart so that you can fill it up with larger doodles instead of make it small. And then it may be a little difficult because we're dealing with watercolors today. Okay, so I am going to do it for myself. Good job. Great for you, Autumn. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Okay, so let's start with a heart. I'm going to do a heart here. Here we go. And I'm not going to make it super big, but just enough. You might not see my heart like this, but it's a heart. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just sketch out a heart shape, because basically this is just our template. We want all our doodles to be inside this heart shape. It's going to look super cute. I'm going to zoom it that, and then we're going to, let me see. So it's not so bright. There we go. Can you guys see it? Oh, perfect. Here we go. All right. And then I'm just going to lighten it even more. So basically now you might not see this, but we just need to see it as a guide. All right. Now, if you have any problems with jumping in right away and doodling with watercolors, I could totally understand it. I promise I do. If you want to use pencil first, please feel free to do that, okay? But this time, the reason why I want to really jump in here and just use watercolors right away is because I want the images or the doodles to look more um it, it's very whimsical. It's not so structured, if that makes any sense. I just want it to be almost like wonky, imperfect, because we want it to look very whimsical. That's the term that I can just think of. I don't know if it's just my brain that is not working so well. Feel real, yes, Autumn. Almost yes and no, because this one is almost going to look cartoonish, but not in a kawaii way. I don't know. Okay, so by using some clean water, I would like for you to wake up the pigments in your watercolors. If you're using watercolor pens, just kind of like drop some water in there. I love the set because look, you can take out pieces of the pans, so this little ones in here. So I can just take out what I need, and I don't need to put this large container on my table. I just need my basic colors. And we can just add some water in here. If you have a water mister, a water bottle, that's perfect. I still have mine packed somewhere, somewhere in the garage. So we're just going to do this manually. This is going to be so helpful later on with your drawing if you do the little bit of prepping first. Okay, so I have all of that, right? You know what? I don't think I have a paper towel. Do you guys have any paper towel? So paper towel or baby wipes, right? That's what we're going to do. Now, before we get started, I would really like for you to kind of just take out all the perfections in your head, because what we're going to do today is definitely not going to look perfect. It's going to look whimsical and very not cute. I don't like to use the word cute in this one, but it might turn out cute, but very simple and very whimsical. Okay, free flowing. I love it, Jen. Perfect. Yes, those interlocking pans are so cute. I really, really love it too, Mary. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to go from top to bottom, because if we start here from the bottom, what we're going to do is we go up, and this is watercolor. All we're going to do is really, we're going to smudge everything. If you're anything like me, you're going to smudge it. So we want to be smart, work smart. So we want to start from the top, and then we work our way down, okay? Because we're really jumping in right away. Now, I am trying to decide whether I would like to use my number 2 brush or my number 5. I think I'm going to go in for the number 5 first. Here we go. I know you can't see my heart anymore, but it's there. Okay, so I want to create a scarf to the top left. So this hump right here of my heart, we are going to fill it with a scarf that's like free flowing, like what Jen said. And think of basic shapes, okay? So basic shapes, that's our first goal. So think of this as a rectangle that is like wobbly, right? So I'm going to do it first and follow along with me, all right? So we're just going to create this, like little humps, and then I'm going to make that one flare, just like that. I'm going to make it not so bright. So you can see it. There we go. I think this is perfect, right? And then I'm going to copy the same shape and go in at the bottom. Don't overthink it. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just try not to overthink it so much. Yeah, it has a better contrast. Perfect. And then we're just going to fill that with some colors. Pick up some of that. Because we're not going to do a whole lot of blending for this one, it's okay to use the watercolor straight from the pan. I would normally have like a clear artist palette, just to kind of like do my blending. But again, we're not really going to do a whole lot of blending today. We're almost just like painting, free flowing. And then see how I'm doing the flare on the end? I'm making some sharp lines, a little bit of sharp lines, by using and concentrating on using the tip of the brush. So remember that your brush pens are going to be flexible. So if you add just a little bit of pressure, you're going to create a much thicker stroke. So just kind of like be gentle. Really, this is a really good practice using your brush pen, because I promise you, once you get familiar with your brush pen, you're like, oh, I can do it with this. I can do this. I can do that. You're going to love it. I promise. Perfect. It is a scarf. Okay. All right. So this time I'm going to create something over here. So basically what we're doing is we don't really want to create like a border, to really create that sharp, that heart shape, but almost like follow along that heart shape without being too obvious because I promise you it's gonna look like a heart later on. So I'm grabbing some of the green gold color and I'm just gonna add in a maybe a twig or a vine. So I'm just gonna follow along this heart shape, this little hump here, just like that. Use the tip of your brush. And then now adding a little bit of flex, and notice how I'm going to hold my brush when I create a thicker strokes. I'm going to hold it 45-degree angled. If I'm creating a thin stroke like this, a clean thin stroke, I'm holding my brush upside down. So to really concentrate on using the tip of the brush, just like this. But when I'm going to create a much thicker stroke, all I'm going to do is add just a little bit of flex or pressure and then just follow that along. Let the brush work for you and not the opposite. So just let it create that shape, just like that. I feel like here at the bottom is much easier for me. Look, I'm just flexing it and really adding some pressure and letting it like this, just like that. And add one more. Now it depends if you want it to be kind of like from small to large or large at the bottom and go small over here. We can add a little bit smaller, just like that. Now, if you want, while you can still see parts of your watercolor is still wet, you can wash your brush, grab some other color, maybe grab this little orange color in here. You can drop some in there and it will give you like a different result later on. Clean your brush, add some water if you don't want it too detailed, just like that. And this is what I love about watercolors. It's just that seeing all those pigment just kind of like blending and moving and following, along that water. It's fun. It's very fun to me. Now I'm going to create another, we're going to add more water in here. This pigment right there. So I'm going to add leaves. That is, oh, I made some splatters over there. It's okay. So I'm going to make some leaves, but facing to the left. Again, holding it upside down. Just like that. I made this leaf really big. It's okay though. So we're not just going to make a leaf. My original plan was a leaf, but we're just going to make another vine. Again, flex those brush and create some organic marks by adding some pressure and the angle of your brush. See, kind of like tapered pressure and then lift. It's just like that. And again, it isn't perfect, but it's okay. We're going to be okay. I really love this one. You know what? I don't know if there's any. No, there's no number. I have to check later on. This one that's not wet. No, but probably the packaging. But then again, when I'm like opening things, I'm so not careful with the packaging. Maybe there was like a color system in there, but this, it's almost like maybe dark chrome. I don't know. It's very gorgeous, or it could be scarlet red also. It's beautiful. It's like really pretty autumn color. Right. Ooh, it's really nice on the camera too. Now remember, when you're using watercolor and you feel like I want parts of my leaf a little bit lighter, instead of just kind of having like one dark color all throughout, it's almost like using a marker. Now what you can do with a clean brush, I'm going to grab my paper towel like this. So with my clean brush with a little bit of water, what you can do is you kind of like pick up some of that pigments, take off some of that, and then just kind of like peel. See, we're just pulling parts of that pigment so you can have like a nice gradient. Because sometimes, you know, um, maybe our hand pressure, you and I are the same because I'm really have heavy hand pressure. So sometimes my intention is not to fill it with so much pigment, but because of my heavy hand pressure, I'm like laying down all those pigments. And I really want to have this beautiful watercolored look that is almost like some parts are light, some parts are heavy, more organic than kind of like using a marker like what I did here. But it's okay. We can take out some of that while it's still wet by just kind of like using a clean brush, lifting some of that colors and damp it here in your paper towel. Then you have parts of it where it looks like gradient. So we're learning a lot of techniques at the same time, having fun, right? This is what we do here over at Michael's. Now I want to create parts on the inside as well. Maybe some leaves. This time I'm going to make it small because I made the other one really, really big. So this time we're going to make leaves first. So remember, you can tilt your paper also if it's much easier for you. But sometimes, when we're doing like classes like this, I try not to move my canvas way too much because sometimes I don't want you to get dizzy. So I'm just going to add a small parts of that for my, grab some water, pick up some more pigments. Using the tip of the brush, I'll flex it just a little bit, flex it just a little bit, and then point it and taper it just like that. Right. Again, flex it. We're trying to make a more organic leaf look. Remember, nature is imperfect, yet so beautiful. So don't worry about it. Again, if you want to take out some of the pigments, if you feel like, ooh, I added too much in there, or you want to add another color, maybe take out parts here, like that. And then we can drop some yellows in here. Thank you so much, Robin. Hey, come on, camera. Well, is that giving us problem? And earlier it wasn't. Because, Robin, you're saying goodbye. It doesn't want you to leave. But thanks so much, Robin. Thank you. Yes, I'm just dropping in some yellows in here. There. And let it dry. We're just going to let that one dry. Going in and out. Oh, man. You know what? Probably a webcam would be even much better than this expensive camera we're using. Isn't that crazy how technology goes? Sometimes you're like invested into very expensive materials, and at the end of the day, it's like, why is it giving us this? It's supposed to be perfect. You're not supposed to be doing this, but here we are. Ah, there we go. I'm trying to try the manual. Sorry guys, I'm doing that intentionally because I'm trying to find, there we go, a fixed focal point. Okay, so we're going to add more leaves in here. I'm going to try and work just a little bit faster just so we can finish this because it's going to look really cute. Notice how I did my leaves in there. I'm going to grab a bit more. I did it 1 stroke, 2 stroke, 3 stroke, and then we're going to add the middle. So you have a more organic, isn't that more like really more organic look instead of just adding like a leaf shape. There we go. All right, now I'm going to add some boots, and I want to have like a light orange in here. So I'm going to grab this bright one. It might throw me off later on, but we're going to see. So now imagine a boots. It's going to be rectangle, and then we're going to have a little bit of oval later on for the bottom of the boots. So let's concentrate on the rectangle, the vertical first. Let's just do that. Because remember, we're doodling. I think this orange is bright. And then we're just going to add this there. And then we can fix it later on. I'm going to add a little bit of water and wash this out. It's a little too bright for me. Now you can do your adjustments in here. If you want to make it a bit more squarish, maybe a bit more oval, you have that choice. I'm going to pick up some of that pigment. Notice how I'm just kind of like lifting the pigments and then putting it over here like that. We're adding, by doing this, we're adding a natural highlights. Just kind of like lifting some of that. There we go. And I'm going to do the other pair. Just play with the orientation of your boots. Like that. Add some water. Just going to move some of that pigments and move it around. Ooh, I love that this one is much lighter. Maybe I need to take out some of the pigments even more. It's kind of like that. There. This one is dry already, then we can start adding details in that later. Okay, so we have boots. Now we're going to make some sweater. All right, I think I want my sweater to be green, so I have some green over here, just so we can have a little bit of balance. So we want to really spread all these colors all around inside our heart. Okay, so I'm going to do my outline first of the shirt. You can do the neck first. You know, we can make it like a turtleneck, just like that. That's your turtleneck. And then we can do this. Just go down like a big puffy sweater. Just like that. I'm going to grab more. Remember when you were a kid, this is how we did things. And then we get older, and then we would like to make things a bit more complicated. We should always just stay curious, childlike, and just have fun. Grab some water. Now we're going to go move all of these pigments around. Some of that. If you want it to be more vibrant, then go ahead and add more pigment in there. But I really like this one where it's almost like a wash look, because I'm going to bring back some details later on by adding more pigment maybe, or using the colored pencils. That's how we're going to do this. So almost like maybe here at the bottom it needs a bit more. And notice all of that colors. I want the concentration here at the bottom, so I'm just going to add a bit more here. And I'm going to add parts of the sleeves later on, you know, that little thing that it's almost like tight at the bottom of the sweater. We're going to create a silhouette, bring back that line just to show it there. All right, I'm going to move some of the pigments instead of just like concentrated on top. Let's leave it as that. Clean our brush. Now I want some pumpkin. If you are going to make, if you're making a winter scene, then you might want to skip this one because, you know, pumpkin is fall. Maybe you can doodle some snowman instead, or some snow, something like that. Okay, so for the pumpkin, I'm going to use the orange, the bright color orange for the base, because we're going to add some other colors in here. Snowflakes, definitely, for sure, snowflakes. Okay, and I'm gonna make it where it's almost like tilting to my left, okay? So it's almost like here in the middle. I always start with this oval shape, like this one. Even when I'm using a marker, I start with this, and I just kind of like add it along. Just like this. Add to the right also to give us that pumpkin shape. And then another one, and it gets smaller as you get to the side. Just be mindful of the size. You don't want to make it too wide, you know. And I'm losing the bumps here because of my heavy hand. So we're going to fix the bottom as well. Just like this. I'm going to let that dry. Okay, while that is drying, let's add a bit more. Now I want to add like a coffee cup. and a mug all around here. So I'm going to use this beige color that we used for our scarf. Just going to clean that up. Spread the water to get more pigments. Okay. And then I'm going to add, it's 2 vertical lines that is slightly diagonal, parallel to each other, just like this. You can make it as small or as large as you would like, just like that. And then do a round, slightly round or curved, slightly curved line at the bottom. You can make it just straight if you would like. And then this one, we're going to make this one straight. So we're doodling. We're doodling and then painting at the same time. This is super fun. And then, whoop, I almost lost my brush. And then now I'm just picking up some water. We're just going to do this just like that. Don't be scared that you're losing all the details, because that is where second layer will be for, or you can use your colored pencils, or you can even use markers in here if you would like, if you don't want to use the watercolor or the colored pencils. But I feel like the color pencils really does, oh man, add some whimsy touch to it instead of using a marker. But then, everybody's different because art is subjective like that. Okay, now we have that. I want to add some mittens. Let's do some mittens. And I think I want to do this burnt sienna or burnt orange in here for my mittens. Grabbing some water. Okay. And I'm going to add some in here because we have here. All right, so for this one, make a curved line. This one first. Just like that. A little C upside down or a frown. Just like this. And then we're going to go curve this. Just like that. And we want to add 2 lines. And then another curved line. Right? And then we want to add parts for the thumb. So as you can see, it's just step by step. And then we're going to go blend it all out. There we go. There we go. If you want to make this like wide like that, you can do that. If you want to add another color later on for details, or if you want to use the same color, then you can add almost like a string that's like hanging like this. Use the tip of your brush and just really apply like light pressure, just like that. And then to create kind of like pom-poms on the side that dangles, just small strokes. Just like that. And this is so relaxing when you're doing this. It's almost like, I need this. My soul needed this today. There we go. And then you can do another one over here on this side. You can make it into another color if you would like, or have the same color in there. Later on, we're going to fill some of the areas in there, maybe have some leaves, or, my perfect, my favorite fillers are like asterisk, dots, just simple things like that. I'm going to use the gold yellow in here, and I'm going to add some fuzzy socks. And I'm going to follow along to create, follow along the shape of the heart. So maybe here. So it's not so long. So again, look at this. It's just a curve like that. You start with the 2. It's going to be a really long one. Just like that. And then you bring it down and up. Right? And then close it in. If you need more water, grab more water and just blend everything together. Oh, that's so cute. We got to try that. Yes, Autumn, that's a good idea. I wish I know how to knit, but I don't. So I'm just going to paint. I don't know how to knit. Okay, and then we're going to make the other pair of our socks over here on the left side. And I'm just going to start again with my 2 diagonal lines, just like this. Close it in, right? And then add parts for the feet. Grab some water, and then just blend everything. I am using a really nice paper today because I am planning on displaying this artwork. So I really wanted to use the Arches watercolor paper. So I know I can display it. All right. So we have that. We have that. I feel like I'm missing something in here. I can add leaves already, but I can wait also. But then probably I should just add that. I'm just going to play with the orientation of the leaves. Like that. 1, 2, and 3. Just like this. I feel like I've added too much pigments in there, but I think it's going to be okay. I'm going to take out some like that. Thank you so much, Pat. All right, and then we can add, I think we can add some of the burnt orange in here on the top because we don't have enough of that. Again, we want to spread out the color, so it's across our painting. Ooh, I've picked up too much pigments. And we're just going to add, I think this one, I'll have my leaf almost facing the opposite side. And we want to be careful because remember, we're going to add the stalk of our pumpkin. So just be mindful of that one. And again, I'm using the brush to do its work for me to create this leaf shape, a more organic way. It's kind of like, just like that. I don't know if it's like organic way, but I'm going to use a tip of the brush just to create like a tapered strokes like this. I feel like it's a turkey. Maybe because of the way of my tapered strokes are. Okay, now we can add parts of the brown. I don't think we have used the brown yet, but I want to add like dots in here to really fill in some of the areas. Now for the details, if you want to use watercolors later, you want to make sure that you have a much smaller brush because that is going to be the key, or else it might get a little frustrating. So just be mindful of that one, okay? Now we want to make a winter hat, right? We do, right? Okay, so what color are we going to do? Let's do, but make it fall vibes, autumn. We want to create this color. Let's add a bit more water in here. So the only problem with me when picking up the pigment straight from the pen like this is that I get really concentrated pigments, and that is the reason why I'm lifting some of it up like this. But if you want more a washed color, not so concentrated, then you really want to use an artist palette, so where you can pick up the pigments and then add more water in there if that's the look that you're wanting. But then again, there's um, you can just do what we did today, the technique. You can lift up some of that pigments and then you're good to go. Don't worry about heavy hands. Okay, so what was I saying? Okay, a bonnet. Let's do that. So almost like a triangle, but we're going to make it not straight triangle or not sharp. We're just going to make it like a bit wonky. Look at the lines, like a little jaggedy. It's almost like a volcano, but just like that, you know? And then we're going to add a horizontal line and then another one here. And then we're going to enclose it. And then we're going to grab some water, pick up some of that water, and then blend everything in. Now we can use another color for the pom-pom on top, or we could stick to this color. Now you can make your adjustments if you feel like, oh, I need to make this part here wider, then do that. I think I'm going to use a bright orange for my pom-poms this time. So I'm going to grab some orange and just really adding it on top while it's still wet. The colors are going to blend together. Now make some tapered by using the tip of the brush and just using it to create those little sharp lines like this to really give that texture. So be careful, just really go light. This is when you want to go light. Okay, now it's gonna dry. I'm gonna add a coffee mug, maybe over here. I'm gonna make this one green. And then we're gonna add some coffee later on. Or we can make it like green tea, matcha. Anybody who likes matcha here? I love matcha. Now this one we want to make it like slightly curved, okay? So just slight, not so much. I'm not sure if I'm gonna like this one later on because it's so close to the coffee also cup, but I think we're going to be okay. Now this one for the two horizontal vertical lines, we want it also slightly curving instead of just kind of like straight lines. So you want to curve it just a little bit wider on top, and it goes narrow, slightly narrow at the bottom, to give you that mug silhouette. So wider on top, and then we go thinner or narrow at the bottom. And then we connect it with a slightly curving line. I'm going to clean my brush, pick up some of the water. You don't like coffee, Belle? It's okay. It's not for everybody. Here we go. There. And we just want to do that. Now we want to make the sides. So all we're going to do is the opposite of the letter C, or think of this as like the belly of the D. So I'm just going to make it like this. And we're going to thicken this area. So just repeat that same shape like that. And just fill it up. Just like that. Clean up some of the shapes. Now I'm going to add a line inside. This time I'm really going to concentrate on the tip of my brush. You can do the brown first if you want, the coffee, and then do the green later on, but I cannot decide what I want to put in there, so I'm just going to do this first, and then I can always fill it up later on. All right. I'm going to add more leaves to fill in some of the areas in here. I'm going to use the burnt orange, this lovely color. But then we have that over here. Maybe this one, maybe over here, the bottom. You can create some vines or maybe some twigs, because it's fall. So just kind of like that. Some branches. Now concentrate on the tip of your brush to really create that thin strokes. Again, you don't have to make it perfect. All right. Grabbing some of that yellow or green gold. We're going to add more leaves in here. So we can do this as well. So you can create the silhouette, kind of like how we're doing it, and then color it in. So if you are having some, issues with just kind of like creating organic marks using the brush, then just create the silhouette first, kind of like the outline, and then fill it in. So whichever works best for you, I would like you to try and find the one that works best for you, because this is where you're going to enjoy art more, because one way is not just the right way. Does that make sense? So sometimes it just doesn't work for you. Sometimes it's like, okay, I've tried that, but I feel like I'm having a hard time. So just try something else. Always, it's pivot, and just do what's best for you. Okay, now I want to add, we're almost done because we're going to add some details in here, but I think I want to close this in by adding another branch or twig, and then, but just using another color, but the darker brown color. And I'm going to thicken this one instead of a real thin branch, just like that. Like this. And I feel like the colors are fading, then just grab some more. paint. Oop. See, when I'm like not being so careful, you can really see that my strokes are getting much thicker. That's when I'm kind of like not paying close attention to how much pressure I am adding. So I can really tell when it's like my strokes are much thicker and it's almost like I can really see that I'm not doing a great job there. But you know what? I give myself grace. It's okay. Really is. Okay. So now we decide how we want to do this. Do we want to use colored pencils to add some details, or we can actually add another layer on top of this by using our watercolor? But to add layers, again, if you're having trouble with your larger brush, you might need a much smaller brush. This is a number 5. Maybe you need a number 2. Um, to me, details are so important that I feel like using some colored pencils is the one that works best for me. Okay, so again, we're back to that. Do what works best for you. So I'm gonna grab some colored pencils. I'm just gonna put them all on my desk. And I'm gonna grab colors that are very maybe similar, but maybe slightly darker to the colors that we've used. So I'm gonna put this on the side. Oh, a bird, Candy, that is such a great idea. Definitely. You can definitely do that. Oh, I have some splatters on the side. It's okay. Could be. Now, some of it are still wet, but over here on the top where we first did that, it's definitely dry now. Now, I found some colors that I feel like it's going to work really well. I found some brown. I can use this for my scarf. Definitely use this. I can use parts of like um burgundy color. That's gonna look nice as well. And then brown, we have some orange, light brown in here too will work for me. Like that. Maybe some white if you want to add some highlights. But I'm going to go ahead and add some. Just be careful if parts of this are still wet, just make sure. You can always kind of like tilt it over like this, like that. So you can really follow the orientation of the flow of your scarf. So see, you can add stripes if you don't want to add stripes. You don't have to. You can add like polka dots, and then I'm playing around with the thickness of my stripes to kind of like show where that scarf is free flowing. It's flowing around instead of just kind of like go straight across the um, same size and same orientation. So I'm playing around with that. Just add it. Parts of it are thin. So parts to my left are thin and that goes thick on that right side to show that maybe parts of that is folded over here, maybe like that. So use your imagination and have fun. This is where I struggled a little bit during my, early years in practice, is that I don't understand orientation. I didn't understand symmetry, but I was very forgiving to myself. I was patient, I was curious, and I just kind of practice and practice. And then I looked at my work, I looked at my sketchbook and see, which one can I, improve on, or what can I do better next time? And then I was having fun all throughout. And I think that's the key to that is just have lots of fun. Now we can use the same color and just kind of like add details to the end of our scarf, just bring back that details in there. And all I'm doing is adding lines, nothing special. I'm going to use parts of the brown and I'm going to add, see, this one's dry, so we can add like details to our leaves, just like this. Yeah, we can use the dark burgundy over here if you want this one. So we can try that. Just like this. Parts of that is dry. Also, our pumpkin, then we can definitely have some details in there. We forgot the green part, the stalk part of our pumpkin. You can use the watercolor or have green in here, but I'm afraid that this might be a little too light for it. So I think I'm going to go ahead and use our green so that I will have the same green across my illustration, right? And then I'm just going to make it really small, just like this. Because I told you, be careful of that part of the leaves. I wasn't, but it's okay. Just like that. Little whimsy. Okay. And then we're going to go back to that later on. Now for our socks, I love stripes. So this is for the boots. We can add details in here. Maybe use the brown. Have parts in here of the, just like this, of my boots. Just like that. Maybe if you want, you can add like the bottom, just to add something in there. And the way the color pencils are, because our paper is textured, so parts of that paper are peeking through, and it's really pretty when it's so imperfect like this. Because I can see parts of the paper, the texture is like peeking through that. And I really, really love that. Now you can use parts of the orange if you find a color that is very close to the color that you use and you just want to add kind of like details that is not so obvious, but just kind of like a little crack in your boots, things like that. Or you want to add some outline, some contrast, just like this, then you can definitely do that. Like this one. There we go, and bring this one as well. Again, this set is, or a smaller version of this watercolor set is available at michaels.com. Probably you can find better options online. Sometimes, the store has limited inventory, but if you get online, it's like they have a lot. Okay, this pumpkin we'll start adding some lines. And notice how my lines are also imperfect, right? So it's just, everything is like so imperfect, but it looks really nice. It matches the whole vibe. Now, if you want the kawaii part, which I do, you can definitely add some, I don't know, add some kawaii faces, to this. I'm going to use the beige, almost like the similar color as my scarf. I'm going to add details to my long socks there, that we can add polka dots instead of stripes. Just go through it and just add some polka dot texture. And it's bigger dots on the top and it goes smaller as I go here on the footsie, this area. Now you can add like darker like this and this part. You can choose to do that. So we can do this first. It looks like this type of illustration to me looks like a children's book illustration. I really love it, especially when I use watercolors and colored pencils together. That is definitely that feel and the look that I am going after, going for. It's that very whimsical thing. Okay, apologize for that. Okay, now for our for our mittens. Oh, I feel like I need a darker color in here to really show up. Yep, this one. So we can add some details in here, just like that. We can add a button, just like this. Now, remember we talked about if we want coffee or if we want some matcha. I'm going in with my light brown for my coffee with lots of cream and sugar, because that's definitely how I drink my coffee. So just going to add a bit more in the corner just to give it some contrast. If you have any color that's so close to your green, you can do that. But if you want another one that will pop, then use black. So if you want to add some details like this, maybe a lettering in there, you know, maybe a leaf inside, or maybe just put in the word fall, letter fall, like this, like that. Gray, I love using gray for just kind of like the smoke that comes out from my coffee. And then we're just coloring it in. Light blue works as well. So if you have light blue, that's going to work. So one is big, one is small. Then I'm going in with my beige and then adding it in here. Now for my details for my coffee, I want to add some circle that reminds me of one brand. You know what I'm talking about. Where's my brush? I'm just going to use this brush. So we're going to add a green circle inside my coffee. Now remember with watercolors, your first layer is going to lift, right? If you use too much water. So I am intentionally not using so much water, but very concentrated on the pigments, just like that. So it's also rich and um, very detailed in there. And we're just going to let that dry for a little bit. But we can start adding some contrast in here just to really bring back some of that details, just like that. Now for my scarf, I'm gonna add some burnt orange for that stretchy part or that tight part. Not sure the orange and the green works, but you know what? They look beautiful during the fall. I've always liked orange and blue together, coral, and mint, turquoise color. Those are really nice together. But red and orange or green reminds me of Christmas. And then green and orange, of course, is fall color. So beautiful. Now we're going to use a black. We're almost done. Thank you so much. Um, Really? Oh, you have to, Robin. It's just practice. I think you're going to get it. Before you know it, you're like buying different sizes of brushes and you're like, you know what? I got this. So I know in the beginning, it's always a bit kind of like scary and a little overwhelming when it's something new. But I'm so glad that we did this because now you can say that, oh, all it is, painting is just using basic shapes, right? Because we just use basic shapes. But when put together, we are drawing a picture. And this is what we created today. Of course, I'm going to finish it off camera just to add more details. And I hope that you do too. But I hope that this class was so fun and inspiring. And also, um, you're taking away a lot of information from this class. And I hope that you had fun and just relax with me. Again, if it was a little bit overwhelming, I hope that you'll try again. Maybe a bit more basic doodles maybe next time if this is a little too much, but just take things slow and I think you're gonna get it. So thank you all so much, everybody. I had a wonderful time. Again, please stay healthy. I know that some weather changes. Again, just be safe, drink lots of fluid, and take care of yourself. And as always, of course, stay creative and stay happy. I will see you next week, next Wednesday. So make sure to sign up for the class and we'll have more fun again. Stay creative and stay happy, everybody. Bye.